He hated Gao Tu. Not because of who Gao Tu was, but because of what he represented, a mirror of everyone else. Gao Tu acted as if he were as vulgar, as ordinary, as the people who fawned over Shen Wenlang for his wealth and status. And Shen Wenlang, he didn't want that. He didn't want Gao Tu to fall into the trap of liking him just for the privileges he offered. He wanted something purer, something real. He had always believed that no matter how much Gao Tu might like him, Gao Tu would never bow. He would never plead. Yet, here it was. Gao Tu, trembling with fear and desperation, lowered his posture, humbly, begging Shen Wenlang, not for himself, but for his child, and the children of others. Shen Wenlang felt it like poison in his veins. Helplessness, desperation, regret. Memories rushed back like a torrent. The day Gao Tu had asked him, "What will you do if your Omega has a child in the future?" The day Gao Ming had coldly said in that restaurant, "If you want us to have an abortion, give me 10 million. Not a penny less." How he longed to turn back time. Just to tell Gao Tu everything he had never said. "I hate Omegas, but if that Omega is you, I will love you like crazy. I don't like children at all, but if it's yours, I can't bear to see him get hurt." But it was too late. The chance was gone. There was no salvaging the relationship, no way to confess what he truly felt. "I didn't dislike you," he wanted to say. "I just didn't know." Compared to the tension and sorrow among the adults, Peanut, the little spark of light in all this darkness, was blissfully unaffected. Spoiled, loved, and cheerful by nature, he hated gloom and sadness above all else. Seeing his godfather Shen Wenlang, so lost in despair, Peanut climbed up, finding a comfortable perch on his knees. From there, he made himself just as tall as Gao Lele in Gao Tu's arms. With a childish voice brimming with charm, he started to chat. "I'm really sorry for bumping into you just now, but your mask, it's so pretty. Can I borrow it?" Gao Lele hesitated. The little boy, delicate and almost too beautiful to resist, couldn't be turned down. And so, before Gao Tu could intervene, the mask was handed over to Peanut. Shen Wenlang looked up and froze. Gao Lele in Gao Tu's arms, their resemblance was uncanny. Every line of Gao Lele's face mirrored Shen Wenlang. His heart, bitter a second ago, turned sweet as apricot. No DNA test could ever confirm what was already obvious to anyone with eyes. The father-son bond was undeniable. And Shen Wenlang's heart ached with a deep, unexplainable love for this little boy. 3 months later, life had settled into a fragile rhythm. But for Gao Lele, confusion and frustration were beginning to stir. His father, Gao Tu, often disappeared in the middle of the night. And strange as it was, despite it not being the season for sage or iris to bloom, the faint scent of these flowers lingered in the air. Comforting, familiar, like a protective blanket. It calmed him, but it also made him curious. That night, after eating too much watermelon, Gao Lele awoke suffocating. He rubbed his eyes, slipped out of bed, and wandered to the bathroom. After washing up, he caught a whisper of familiar voices coming from the dimly lit living room. Curiosity drew him closer. He peered into the shadows, hearing words that made his heart pound. The neighbor, cheerful and audacious, murmured playfully, "One more kiss, please?" Gao Tu's soft, cautious voice replied, "Just once. Don't make a fuss. Don't wake Layla." The neighbor pouted, pressing closer. "Wait until the little one falls asleep. Then come find me next door, okay?" Gao Tu's voice softened further, almost tender. "Go back first. I'll come after Lele falls asleep." Peeking from the door, Gao Lele's young heart pounded. Why did his father blush like that? And why did the neighbor act so freely around him? Despite the mystery, Gao Lele didn't feel afraid. On the contrary, the faint fragrance of iris and sage made him feel safe, a warm happiness rising like honey in his chest. Soon, Gao Tu quietly entered the bedroom, tucking him in with a gentle hand. And at that moment, Gao Lele opened his bright eyes so reminiscent of Shen Wenlang's. "Dad," he said softly, almost conspiratorially, If you want to go next door, you can go now. You don't have to wait for me to fall asleep. A simple, innocent statement. But it carried an unspoken promise. A little boy, wise beyond his years, already understanding the delicate balance of love and secrecy that surrounded him. In that quiet, tender moment, Gao Lele imagined something audacious. Perhaps he might even change his own name someday. Maybe, just maybe, he'd become Shen Wenlang. This was the story of unspoken love, of regrets that weighed heavier than mountains. Of a man who hated omegas, yet would have given his all for the one omega he truly loved. Of a father who struggled with the weight of his own heart, balancing secrecy and protection, love and fear. It was the story of children who felt more than their years should allow, navigating the complex web of adult emotions with innocent clarity. And it was the story of hope. Because even in the darkest moments, when mistakes had been made, when words had been left unsaid, when hearts had been broken, love still found a way to bloom. Like Peanut, ever bright and unyielding, bringing light to the gloom. Like Gao Lele, perceptive and tender, weaving his little heart into the lives of those around him. Shen Wenlang had lost a chance, but he had not lost everything. For in the laughter of children, in the gentle touches and small acts of care, he glimpsed the life he could still protect, the love he could still nurture. In the end, it wasn't about wealth, status, or favor. It was about moments, the quiet, fleeting moments that stitched lives together. A shared laugh, a small act of kindness, a whispered apology. And as Shen Wenlang looked at Gao Lele, at Peanut, at Gao Tu, he realized something profoundly simple and overwhelmingly true. Love doesn't always need to be grand. Sometimes it only needs to be present, patient, real. The future was uncertain. Challenges awaited. But in that moment, hearts were aligned. Bonds were formed. And hope, fragile but resilient, lingered in the air like the faint scent of iris and sage. Because sometimes the smallest gestures carry the greatest weight. And sometimes, the purest love is the one that cannot be forced, cannot be bought, and cannot be fully understood, except by those who live it. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to join our community of story lovers. Leave a comment below sharing which part moved you the most, or which character you connected with. I love reading your thoughts. And remember, love comes in many forms. Sometimes unexpected, sometimes complicated, but always worth cherishing. Share this video with someone who needs a little reminder that hope and love can bloom even in the hardest moments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.